podcast.
All right, what's up, Fight Bros podcast listeners? We're coming at you today with Fight Bros MMA show number 60. We're continuing our series with Titans of the Cage. This is our third with their upcoming event, Titans of the Cage 35 at the Wytheville Meeting Center. I've got a great one for you today. She's going to be fighting for the 135-pound women's title. We have Gracie Grecco. Thank you for coming on, Gracie.
Thank you.
So Gracie, I just wanted to start out, get our viewers to learn a little bit about you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and where are you fighting out of?
I'm actually from Chatham, Virginia. I moved to North Carolina about 4 years ago, and recently, within the past 2 years, started training at Greensboro Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm fighting out of there for them.
Okay. How did you get, started in MMA?
So it was kind of my dad's idea. He wound up just talking me into it, I think mostly for self-defense. And he said I'd be good at it because I'm mean enough. So I started competing, really liking it. So I just kept going with it.
About what age did you get started?
I think I was 15. I took my first self-defense class, and it was kind of just off and on for a couple of years. And then once I graduated and had a little bit more time, I started going more often. I think probably about 7 years consistently.
Okay. So you kind of got that confidence to kind of get your first bout and stuff in high school or right after?
Yeah, I think I did my first jiu-jitsu tournament when I was 17, and then I wanted to do my first MMA fight when I was 18 and went through a whole bunch of fight camps with these other guys that were fighting, and they just never found opponents or they dropped down on me. And I think I went through 3 or 4 fight camps before I actually stepped in the ring.
Hey.
So.
I like to ask this question too because a lot of our viewers, a lot of our fighters on here, they try to balance work with their training and everything. So tell me a little bit about what you do outside of fighting, your occupation and everything.
Right now I'm a bartender at a country club in Reidsville, and
Okay.
so I work mostly weekends, and then I train during the week or before I go into work.
Good. So that kind of allows you a little bit of flexibility to get a lot of training.
Yeah.
So, what is kind of your plan or goals that you want to have with MMA?
I've talked to it a little bit with my coach. I think for now, I just want to focus on possibly getting a professional fight, maybe by the end of the year, early next year, and then see where that takes me. I would like to step foot in the UFC, just to say that I have. I don't know that I would take it all the way to the top or not. We just have to see once it gets there.
I like it. Now, I wanted to ask you about this. So, me and you had actually had an interview scheduled for Titans of the Cage 34, but you ended up having an injury, and you kind of had to cancel that fight so you could rehab that injury. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I wound up broken my toe on my right side, the big one, and it was during a sparring session. We were 2 weeks out, so it was probably the last hard sparring session before a fight, and it was kind of just a fluke. And I think the guy was stepping in to throw a punch maybe, whereas I was throwing a calf kick, so his shin kind of went out and I hit his shin instead of his calf. And I thought I just jammed my toe at first, so I just kept sparring and finished out the night, and then sat down. I was like, this really hurts. So they're just oh, ice it when you get home, rest it up over the weekend. I woke up and could barely walk the next morning. So I was like, I think I need to have this checked. And I had an appointment with the chiropractor the next day. So it's I'm just going to wait and have them x-ray it. It'll be cheaper than going to urgent care or something like that. He x-rayed it and found this tiny little fracture. And he was like, I think you need to go see orthopedic. So,
Yeah. Oh man, that's unfortunate.
yeah.
Um, so what have you been doing to, kind of stay active and stay fight ready since that kind of, off period you've had since that fight schedulation?
So for maybe like 2 weeks, I didn't really do a whole lot of anything. And then I started just doing yoga to start out with because that was all I could really do. And then just slowly got back into it. I started walking to see how that felt. And then once that felt okay, I'd walk like a couple of miles. And then I started jogging. And once that was good, started running again and getting back into jujitsu. I just did the drill classes and didn't really roll a whole lot at first. And then kind of just felt my way back into it. And once I felt good with one thing, I just went on to the next.
Now, have you been? I think when I was doing some research on you just to prepare for this, I think I had seen said like 5 days ago they had posted like a video of you doing a jujitsu bout. Have you been kind of staying active with that?
Yeah. So the bout was it was beginning of March, but they just posted the video a couple of days ago. So it wasn't that recent, but
Yeah,
yeah.
it's still pretty recent.
Yeah.
um, so Titans of the Cage 35. You're getting back that title fight that you were going to have against Hannah Ross. That canceled fight. So tell me a little bit about how it feels to get this fight back and how training camp's going.
Um, it's feeling really good. I mean, I'm excited. I'm glad that she gave me a second chance to fight her. I felt really bad dropping out at the last minute. And fight camp's been going, as good as you could expect. Obviously it's hard and I'm tired, but I feel really good and I feel like I've improved in a lot of areas that I needed to before this fight. So it probably is like a good thing that I had a little bit of a break and prepared for some other things.
Oh yeah. Now, what would it mean for you to, get to have that TOC title on April 13th?
It would mean a lot. This is my third chance at a title fight. So, hopefully third time's the charm. The first one that I had, I wound up getting really sick on the plane ride there. So that didn't help. And I wound up fighting with the flu and just did not feel good. And then the second one, I just got caught. And then, so hopefully, this one, hopefully.
Hey, how did you get involved with Titans of the Cage? Just was it kind of, your coaches had, and some fighters that had fought in that promotion and got you in there? Tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm friends with one guy that fought for them a lot, Josh Cook. I think he's on this card too. And he's had a bunch of fights with them. I'm not sure how many, but yeah, I kind of heard about them through him and I went and watched one of his fights years ago when we were training together. And then they kind of just messaged me out of the blue for the last one that I dropped out of. And I stayed in contact with them and I wound up being the ring girl instead for the last one. And, just stayed in contact. I let them know when I was feeling better and then they let me hop back on this card. So,
Hey, I like it. So you said that you train with Josh Cook still, or you did before?
I did years ago, and every now and then we'll still meet up, like me, him, and a couple other guys that were coaching us and stuff. We have our little secret place that we train together. So
Hey,
once
he was just on the podcast, the Cookie Monster. But yeah, he was a fun one.
I'll probably be cheering for him that night.
um, so I want to kind of ask you some fun questions here now. Now, you enjoy fighting. Do you like to be a spectator of fighting? Like, watch it on TV, UFC, some of these other promotions?
So if I'm at the live fight, I get really excited watching it. But when it's on TV, I kind of find it hard to pay attention. um, I know it sounds kind of weird, like being a fighter and being into that sport. I really don't watch a whole lot of UFC. I know like some of the really big names that are in there, but other than that, like I'd rather be at the fight watching it than watching it at home.
Hey, I completely understand that. Now, do you have like a favorite fighter or, somebody you've maybe watched on TV that kind of influences you a little bit?
Um, Not specifically. I mean, I have people around me that are inspiring, ones that I've trained with previously. And I used to be a really big fan of Ronda Rousey when I first got into it. And obviously, I kind of liked Amanda Nunes and then Rose Namajunas and all the really big girls in MMA. So, but
I like it. Um, Now you might not be watching this, but I was going to say on April 13th, after y'all's fight, the big UFC 300 card's on. You've got some fun fights on that. Will you be tuning into that after
um,
your fight?
possibly. I know a bunch of my teammates are coming to watch the fight and some people from work, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting drunk and partying afterwards, so I might not be paying attention
Hey,
to
that's right. Hey, you got to celebrate all that hard work.
yeah.
Um, so this is another fun one I want to ask you. So April 13th, there's somebody in the crowd, a little kid, maybe that's never watched you fight before. Now, after that fight, what do you want them to remember about, how you approach that fight and your performance that night?
Um, I don't know what the right word is. I guess the professionalism, making sure you stay classy and, you know, don't overdo anything like with the crowd. Some people go out there and they're just like talk a lot of junk, and I don't really care for that a whole lot. I like to stay professional and, like I said, classy when I go out there and just get the job done. So,
Hey, I like it. Um, Now, this is kind of a fun question I like to ask. So, we talk about fights on this podcast, but as you see behind me, we talk about Bigfoot, aliens, any of that. Does any of that unexplained? Do you think there's any truth to any of those?
there could be. I know my dad is a big fan of Bigfoot and swears that he's out there, so I hear a lot of stories, and he's always showing me videos that this guy saw this and that. So I don't really lean either way.
Hey, well, I like it. Your dad sounds like a good man. um, so, last little bit, Gracie, I want to give you the floor. If you want to shout out anybody to your team or anything like that, the floor is yours.
Okay. Definitely shout out to Greensboro Jiu Jitsu and Herman Madison and everybody that trains there with me and the people that let me punch them in the face every day. And Jose's been a good sparring partner, him and Oliver and Royce and Kaylee's been helping me a lot too. So just all those people, some of my closer teammates, but really everybody there. And all the other gyms that I've cross trained at, Lux Boxing Gym and what's that, Battleborn, BJJ, and High Point. So yeah, all my teammates and my parents and family and everybody that's coming to support me. The owner at the bar, Steve City, I know he got a table for a bunch of people. He's gonna be at the VIP setting for this fight. So thank you guys.
Good.
And I think that's it.
All right. Hey, you heard it here first, Fight Bros podcast listeners. You're not going to want to miss this. April 13th, Titans of the Cage 35 at the Wytheville Meeting Center. You're going to have this title fight between Gracie Grecco and Hannah Ross for the 135-pound women's title. You're not going to want to miss that. If you're looking for tickets, www.tocfights.com. Gracie, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come on the podcast and talk with us ahead of your fight.
Thank you.
Hey, listeners, if you're looking to follow Gracie on anything, we'll have her socials posted on the podcast so you can follow her and keep up with her, hitting into this fight and after the fight. Thank you so much, Gracie.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'll end it right here. Thanks for listening to the Fight Bros podcast. If you like what you heard today, like us on Facebook and like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you for your support.